Everybody at Fairfield and people in New England, they all know that George Bisacca is the father of Fairfield basketball.
There is no doubt in my mind that he's the father, and being ethnic about it, also the godfather of Fairfield basketball.
You have to keep in mind that he was not only the athletic director and the coach, he's a father of 6 children, and he had a full-time law business.
I would get up real early. We had 2 horses on the property where we lived. So I would go down and clean the stalls first at 6:30. Go up to the university and serve Mass for Father McCormick, who was Dean of Discipline at the time. Come back, home, shower, get ready to go to work, do my law business until around 3 o'clock, 3:30, come up here for practice.
And he took it from where people really didn't know anything about Fairfield, or that much about it. And all of a sudden he got these great players to come here and upset Boston College and Providence and the really powers of New England.
My first year there, that was Coach Bisacca's first year at the university. In fact, I think I was his first recruit, and invited me up to the campus and went out and met him, and met his wife and met his family at that time, and they were just like my second parents.
Well, I love teaching. I always thought that I probably would have been a better teacher than a lawyer. They say I was a good lawyer, but I would have liked to have been a teacher. And that part, I love practice and dealing with the kids, with the players.
You know, he looked for character, he looked for intelligence, he looked for discipline, these kinds of things.
He said, "Would you like to play?" I says, "What? Of course, I'd love to play." So we played for 4 hours, and after that, within the time it took me to take a shower, he had a contract.
We watched them in my first 2 years build Alumni Hall, and we couldn't wait to get in there. And I think it changed the complexion of our team. There was a lot of pressure to do well, and you know, under George, that wasn't too hard. All we had to do was listen to him.
The place would be packed, and students would sit along these walls here, both sides. In the beginning, it was crowded, but then it got really crowded, and we had to have a fire marshal.
It was exciting to see this thing happening, and after sweeping through the Tri-State League for 2 or 3 years, the coach had a vision, and he said, "We're going elsewhere, and it's only up," and we did it.
In fact, George was the one that actually took us to Division I athletics. He saw the visibility that the university could get. That's the one thing you have to know about George. George didn't do it for himself. George did it for what he believed was in the right interest of the institution.
Matter of fact, teams wouldn't even play Fairfield because they knew how good George was and how Fairfield had elevated the program.
George was constantly trying to set up games.
So I would call, before Houston became #1, but they were still high up there, I would call them up and tell them I had a game with Loyola of New Orleans. I'd like to pick up another game in the area. What's the name of the school? Fairfield. I think he must have said Fairchild a couple of times. And he says, "Well, I can give you $2,500 guarantee." I said, "We'll take it." But we didn't have a game with Loyola of New Orleans.
I mean, and George thought we could play with anybody. So that's why he booked these, and people took us on, decided they wanted to play us. Well, we'll take a patsy, send them in, you know. But it didn't work out that way.
We did 13 consecutive victories and wound up getting an AP UPI top 20 votes. First time that ever happened in the school. And we started to get, you know, a little more notoriety, which we preferred not to have. We like to be under the radar, and you know, the coach liked it that way. No one wanted to come here to Fairfield and play us on campus because we had a great student body.
When you had fans so close to the floor, it created quite an atmosphere. You know? As a coach, I wouldn't want to play here if I were a visiting team.
Even though I went to Fordham, George and I always had a strong relationship. And he always looked at, really, I really became part of George's family because he really cared about people.
They made their home, Millie and George Bisacca made their home available to us.
We used to have a dinner at the house for the whole team at the end of the year. They all loved that.
And it wasn't just a 4-year commitment. It's 52 years now and running for me.
There was an invitation and it said, P74. It should be P59, 60, 61, 62, all the way to 68.
He was absolutely the role model for values.
To know George is to know the embodiment of the Jesuit principles. He certainly is one of the most selfless people I've ever come across. It's never about George, and I think you'll get that from most of his players and anybody that he's influenced. It's about developing you as a person.
You get one call to your lawyer. He's the lawyer, even though he doesn't practice anymore. He's the guy I want to call.
He was great for Fairfield, but he was even more important to the overall athletic community.
Post-Fairfield, George's athletic influence continued to grow. It ranged from actually working for the NIT as their legal counsel, working for the ECAC as their legal counsel, and he even found time to spend a couple of stints in Italy coaching Italian basketball, where he had a great deal of success there.
Hi, Coach Bisacca. We are here in the headquarters of Olimpia Milano, the club made famous by your late friend Cesare Rubini. We know you have been the Virtus Bologna head coach, and probably you are still a Virtus Bologna fan, but we, Olimpia Milano, are the most successful team in Italian basketball history, and we are proud to congratulate you as the most successful coach in Fairfield basketball history. So, Coach Bisacca, congratulate again.
George, you've had an amazing career, and Fairfield is so grateful to be part of it. We're forever in your debt for what you've done for this university. You are an inspiration and truly embody the Jesuit values on which this school was founded. Thank you, George.